Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Friday, September 16th, 2022, a little after 3 p.m. Eastern. Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore. Andre Guide. We're on a discovery with ourselves, and there isn't a race. Okay, so we decide for ourselves through experiences in life that we've learned enough where we believe that it's time, and there's communication with the God that you are within that body, that it's time to go within. And going within, there's kind of like different moves, if you will. When you go within, you first discover that the fear of the unknown that you have, a lot of people have this. You meet the fear, which you begin to discover as an illusion, and then it melts away, it passes through you. And then as you go deeper within, you'll know this. As you go deeper within, you'll start to feel, you'll start to feel a kind of a warm, there really isn't any words for it. It's a true bliss, a really deep, loving, warm, kind of an excitement in the chest where your heart is. It might be light at first. It may not be consistent. It's not like, it may not last a long time, but you definitely will feel it throughout your existence, your core being, your whole body. And see, some of us have a tendency, because we don't understand it quite yet, to kind of want to rush it or grip it, and then that's when it seems to disappear. And it actually hasn't disappeared. It's always there. And as we go deeper, this becomes more prevalent. It's there longer. And once you feel it, it's like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? Why didn't I go within a long time ago and start to begin to discover that feeling that you discover is actually coming from the God that you are in that body. So you could say that once we do that and begin to discover, we will not, less and less, I should say, desire to go outside of ourselves. It'll become less and less that we desire or want to do that. And then we will practice more and more in meditation and contemplating this feeling of the God that we are within the body. And we'll stay there. We will want to stay there. And we become more and more enlightened. There really are no words that can fully describe the enlightened state of consciousness by itself. It is an experience that is beyond the mind and all mental concepts. We can only know that we've had a taste of it by the enhanced quality of our life experience. Our typical normal walk in the park becomes a romantic rendezvous with the divine. And we are greeted with personal messages and sacred signs of inner guidance on every street corner and billboard that we see. When the state of enlightened consciousness shows up, it turns the mundane into the miraculous. Major shift, major shift. So I'm going to share, there's 4 qualities that will let you know you are stepping into the enlightened state. Be aware that each one naturally happens to you. Naturally happens. It's not rushed, it's not forced. It naturally happens to you. And occurs for you. Not to you, but occurs for you. When you make time to create a closer relationship with the enlightened state of consciousness that is within you and within all of us. And the first is perpetual and effortless reverence for life. Now, we can all, kind of look at that and say, perpetual and effortless reverence for life. Which means all the time. Perpetual is always. In the enlightened state, we cannot help but freely to feel totally in awe of this life. In the enlightened state, we cannot help but feel totally in awe of this life. We are seeing a divine intelligence which is deeply rooted and alive in all things, objects, situations, people. It is obvious that there is a higher intelligence behind every experience, action, and occurrence. We see there's no such thing as coincidence, and live in constant reverence for life. Constant reverence for life. Participating with ease in the natural flow, celebrating in this spiritual connection. This all around us. Celebrating. Then we go to observing the mirror reflection within every interaction. Observing the mirror reflection within every interaction. When the state of enlightened awareness is super strong within us, we stop identifying with our physical body as who we are. We instead see our infinite nature is everywhere, in all things, in people. We see it is the background, backdrop, and blackboard that this entire universe is written upon. We know we are the universal body and find every human being as a glimmering facet reflecting this unique, individuated point of consciousness within ourselves. The mirror ignites a natural realization that everyone is our teacher, pointing us back to us, the lessons and messages we most need to hear. The enlightened awareness shows us that we are not separate from anyone and anything, and we effortlessly live in a state of joy and universal harmony wherever we go. And then we step further, feeling of being deeply settled and completely still inside. No matter what chaos is occurring in the outer world, there is always a point of perpetual stillness at our core. We are the center of the cyclone that no drama, violence, or death can threaten. We know our true nature is eternal and that nothing can destroy us. We are rooted within this moment so deeply that nothing can shake us or disturb our inner peace. We laugh with lightness at the trivial stresses that used to plague our daily minds as we relax deeper into the recesses of our innermost being. And the fourth quality is a deep knowing that all is perfect in this life. A deep knowing that all is perfect in this life. There is a natural understanding that all is well and unfolding exactly as it should. We see the universal perfection that is here now and accept that it has the highest vision in sight of how this life should be. We stop fighting with ourselves outside ourselves because the fight has stopped within ourselves. We are the source of nonviolence, attacking, judging nothing we see within. There is only a respect for the perfection that is constantly unfolding around us. Knowing the mind can have its fabrications about how things should be, yet abide instead in the deeper resources of peace that know otherwise. Being himself the supreme being, but thinking himself to be separate, man strives and struggles to become united. What is stranger than this for Mount Maharishi? How to reach the enlightened state of consciousness? A lot of people ask, how the heck do you reach the enlightened state of consciousness? It seems really out there, right? It's vital to know that it is available in everyone at all times and perpetually lies dormant at the core of our being. It's vital to know that it is available to everyone at all times and perpetually lies dormant at the core of our being. The more we rest within ourselves in a life free from stress, desire, and activity, the more we relax inside and soon realize its astounding power. As this brilliant gateway is gradually opened, we see how easy it is to create anything and everything that we desire. Our normal awareness pierces like a laser beam through the negative beliefs which normally would have stopped us from moving forward. And we see how fun and easy it is to accept the possibility of instant manifestation. The more often we sit still, practice quieting the mind, and watching the breath rise and fall, doing nothing, the more we, the divine consciousness, awakens within us. The more often we sit still, practice quieting the mind, watching the breath rise and fall, doing nothing, the more we, the divine consciousness, awakens within us. When we stop and meditate on the source of consciousness itself, we discover that it's everywhere we are. It is our very nature and is as bright and brilliant as the sun. It is so obvious that it cannot be missed. When we catch hold of it and let go of our attachment to the outer phenomenal world, we see that this consciousness has a power which is so all-encompassing that we stop looking outside ourselves for answers and start listening to the omniscient wisdom that is constantly bubbling up from within our core. Look at your mind dispassionately. This is enough to calm it. Look at your mind dispassionately. This is enough to calm it. When it is quiet, you can go beyond it. Do not keep it busy all the time. Stop it and just be. If you give it a rest, it will settle down and recover its purity and strength. Constant thinking makes it decay. Nisargadatta. with the enlightened state. This is what this is where we're going. With the enlightened state, we can live a life that is absolutely free from doubt and fear, because we know that something universally intelligent is guiding us each step of the way. We are never bored with this life, nor seeking gratification from our outer world, because ordinary life situations are constantly transformed into a deeply ecstatic, spiritually awakening moments. There's no attachment to our lives, to our desires, to possessing anything, acquiring anything, nor escaping from any experience. We meet our lives full on, embracing the divine circumstances that we are given, facing them with complete ecstasy. Because we have already found what we were searching for our entire lives and lifetimes, we've discovered an eternal source of peace within that cannot be shaken or disturbed by anything or anyone in the outer world. The greatest discovery to finding the state of enlightened consciousness is when we get in touch with our deepest personal trauma and emotional pain. Our pain is there for a very profound spiritual reason. It pushes us to reach for the divine. We need a propulsion fuel so deep and powerful that it launches us directly into real spiritual awareness. We are so deeply asleep to our all-powerful, infinite nature on a day-to-day basis that the only thing strong enough to break through this veil is a burning desire to be free from our suffering. It is our deepest pain that liberates us, and feeling into it daily will pave the path to our highest freedom. When we get a taste of enlightened consciousness, everything changes. We see everything as a spiritual experience. We see our mind instantly stops judging the world, ourselves, and our lives as we recognize the source of real peace here, now. We live in this world, yet truly beyond the judgments of this world. This non-judgmental approach liberates our energy to relax into the infinite healing presence of our being. This is how we attain the initial taste of our unbounded freedom. This is how it all begins, with a simple connection with our own awareness and consciousness. When we drop into what is aware, what is present, what is watching, the watcher who is observing this experience of life, we open the doors to 100% pure awareness, free from the mind. By reopening this door again and again, we soon discover the highest, most blissful state of experience a human being can attain. Outer circumstances don't need so much effort to be changed, but the inner lethargy is centuries old. The unconsciousness is so primitive, its roots are so deep that it needs a total determination on your part, a tremendous determination, a commitment, a deep involvement. you have to risk it all. Unless that happens, it is impossible to change yourself. You will remain the same. Osho. It fully depends on where we are currently at in our inner journey as to how many days, months, or years it will take before we discover our natural enlightened state. The more often we can practice testing or resting in deep states of stillness, completely dropping all mind chatter, the faster the enlightened state will arrive at our doorstep. Ultimately, it is the commitment to ourselves that sparks the evolution to finding higher consciousness. When we are truly committed to unveiling our infinite spiritual nature, diving deeper each day into the discovery of who we truly are, it is only a short matter of time before this universe delivers us to this ultimate enlightened state of being. Knowing that which will totally satisfy our hearts and fulfill every yearning within our soul is not a small matter. When it comes down to it, the level of devotion we have to finding real freedom, the enlightened state, is a reflection of how much we actually love ourselves. Life is a test of our depth of self-love. Life, this life, all the lives, is a test of our depth of self-love. The level of enlightenment we experience along the way determines how often and quickly we can summon the quality of unstoppable inner peace, creativity, or compassion for others. The enlightened state is the base factor that determines how successful we are on our spiritual path and the main reason and purpose why we are all here. It is only through the infinite exploration of our inner journey that we can experience a real sense of freedom in our lives. It is an ironic thing, yet in the enlightened state, we see that everyone is enlightened except for ourselves. We realize that there truly is no self, and thus there is no more suffering. It may be hard to comprehend because we are so accustomed to being identified with this mind, ego, and body, yet the more we realize our true nature, the more we discover a life that is free from any form of pain. This freedom is the great spiritual peak that we are each here to climb and conquer. Every great work, every great accomplishment has been brought into manifestation through holding to the vision, and often just before the big achievement comes, apparent failure and discouragement. Florence Scovel Shinn. Our personal world of advice for you on your journey is to be patient with yourself, as there are 1,000 brilliant obstacles along the way. On this great journey, the difference between illusion and reality is very slim. On this great journey that we're all on, the difference between illusion and reality is very slim and will create many veils between the mind and your consciousness. You may forget many times that the highest state of freedom is here, available, right now, waiting for you. It is like Mount Everest, always there, yet often hidden behind the clouds. Very few have the courage to even attempt to climb. So don't give up if you don't arrive on your first or 100th crack at it. There will always be another moment in the future, or perhaps another lifetime, when you will have more desire, courage, trust, and a fierce, penetrating, laser-like awareness to burn through the cloudy veils of the mind. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Oscar Wilde. What is the greatest dream in this life? What is our greatest dream in this life? Why are we here? To find true love with our soulmate, be financially free, have unending lessons and joy every day? What about having a profound spiritual awakening experience? One which would alter your consciousness so deeply that it would allow you to cultivate a lifetime of deep satisfaction and inner peace. Would this be a worthwhile goal to meditate upon? Most of us are living our entire lives lost in our minds, caught up in a dream. The mind is either wrapped around a fantasy about what we want or a nightmare about what we don't want. The mind is running its mental projector, splattering its ideas all over the world. It is rarely in the peaceful gap that's between the past and the future. That gap we call the here and now. The mind forgets about the gap and how it makes you feel that your essence is beyond space and time. The mind instead gets stuck on thoughts, creating scenarios about the future, processing memories about the past, and becoming deeply bedazzled by the dream of it all. The mind throws us into a whirlwind of ideas each day. Some new, some old, yet they all leave us unaware, spiritually unsatisfied, and our soul left reaching for answers. The unaware mind slowly and quietly rips us away from being here, now, and pushes us towards the edge of insanity more often than you may realize. Once the mind stops believing its inner picture show is real, then we will know without a doubt that we are awake. Once the mind stops believing its inner picture show is real, then we will know without a doubt that we are awake. The movie watcher will suddenly realize it's sitting in the middle of a dark theater, which is the mind, and simply stands up and walk out of the theater. Stand up and walk out of the theater into the vast light of our infinite being. When we stop paying attention to the picture show of the mind, there is a deep release and relaxation. There is no more identification with the mind and its thousands of thoughts anymore. So life becomes very peaceful. The experience is divine and beyond amazing. It's like pure freedom beyond boundaries, knowing yourself as a supreme conscious being who is aware of its divine nature again. The experience is divine beyond amazing. It's like pure freedom beyond boundaries, knowing ourselves as immortal supreme beings, conscious beings, who are aware of its divine nature again. Consciousness can only observe what undergoes change. That which is eternal cannot be observed by consciousness or known by it. Unless you meditate on this point, the puzzle will not be solved. Nisargadatta. When we wake up, this lifetime or in the next, days from now, weeks or months or years from now. But when we wake up, we find real peace inside. We remember that we're not this limited, crazy mind that cannot stop thinking. We get the bigger picture that we are gods who can manifest anything we want. We remember our true nature, and it becomes crystal clear that all these illusions and delusions the mind creates are not real. We understand how existence is creating everything through our imagination. When we learn how to let go of control, we gain our natural ability to co-create our lives in synchronicity with the universe. When we learn how to let go of control, we gain our natural ability to co-create our lives in synchronicity with the universe. We begin seeing how every little moment is an absolute miracle. We stop believing that we are something super duper special on Friday night and just one of the billions of sheeple on Monday. We start to realize the bigger truth, that we are divine creativity, intelligence, and love in full action. We are the source of life itself. When we have realized that we are that which is beyond the mind, we come home and we stop sleepwalking through this existence forever. We come home and we stop sleepwalking through this existence forever. When someone is spiritually asleep, they are unaware that they are lost in the mind. They feel the joy they get from their imagination is more pleasurable than stepping back and waking up from it. The sleepwalker is constantly trailing the mind, like a hungry mouse following a trail of cheese. It moves from consuming one tiny bite of cheese to the next. And from this thought now to the next thought, and the next, and the next, it is forever hungry and forever unsatisfied. How can thoughts ever truly be fulfilling and spiritually satisfying? The mind is not aware that there is an open option not flow or follow the next thought. The mind is mainly caught in the outer world, obsessed with it, wanting to buy things, get things accomplished, completes today's to-do list, and it is emotionally invested in solving all the problems which arise throughout the week. And yes, the mind wanders incessantly, and there's really not much we can do about it. We can press our nose up against the movie screen or sit in the last row, and the movie will still continue to play. The mind is just doing its thing. If we have a semi-important appointment in a few hours, the mind instantly starts projecting desires, hopes, and assumptions about how the experience will be. The mind is a natural strategist, constantly trying to help us survive our lives as best it can. Hopefully, we are aware enough to stop getting hooked into its demands on others and ourselves. There is always another desirable prefabricated ideal version of reality randomly generated by an overly active imagination. Unless you become a full-fledged Buddha, in a way we're all Buddha, but unless you become a Buddha, you have not lived at all, because you will not know the great poetry of this life, the great music of existence. You will not know the celestial celebration that goes on and on and on. You will not know the dance of the stars. This bliss is for you. All these flowers and all these songs and all these stars are for you. You are a Buddha. You are entitled to miracles. Osho. So how will we know if we suddenly woke up from the dream? What are the signs? Well, when we are awake, there is no fear anymore. Genuinely. Not put on. When we awake, there is no fear anymore. We simply realize that we have nothing to fear, because we are an infinite being who cannot die. From this space, we can have no bad relationships, no misunderstandings, for we can only radiate love and have compassion for everyone and every living thing. At the beginning of every awakening, we heal all our inner conflicts within the mind. We stop trying to control, suppress, or push away from the mind. The mind has retired, and we let it relax. We don't try to reawaken from the dream. We're simply aware that we are not this mind. We watch and observe how it is continuously dreaming about something. When we wake up, we are constantly awake, living as the awareness, divine presence, the consciousness, the conscious God essence that enjoys the play between the dream, the dreamer, and the awareness watching the dream. Waking up is as natural as breathing. It is our very nature to be awake, aware, conscious beings. Being awake allows life to be natural, light, easy, and effortless. It's like floating on a magic carpet, bathing in the light of your infinite eternal being every day. There are no more egoic desires to manifest. There's no more worry. struggle or effort to make reality different than what it is. We've let go of buying into the mind's ideas about right and wrong, good and bad, and realized that at the core, we simply love. We are the spirit of love itself. When we are spiritually awake, we are fully alive in our life. We are devoted to welcoming both our highest and lowest selves who are immersed in the world that's here right now. We are not rejecting any aspect of our nature. We are simply immersed in the dualistic nature of reality, the totality of what is. When we stop being spiritually asleep, there is no machine churning to get ahead anymore. It has won the game. It's stopped trying to cover life up with fancy adornments to make it seem better than what it actually is. When we are awake, there's no judgment about anything. There's no rational, analytical personality running the show. The mind is submerged in the essence of pure being in an empty space, simply here, feeling at peace with what shows up in this life, loving it exactly as it is. And is space supported? Upon what does it rest? Like space, Mahamudra, which means waking from the dream. Like space, Mahamudra, waking from the dream, is dependent upon nothing. Relax and settle into the continuum of unalloyed purity. And your bonds loosening, the release is certain. Talapa. To unravel oneself from a lifetime of being caught in the web of the mind, the first step is being aware of the mind's habit of dreaming about the past and future. None of us are exempt from this. We all do it. It's not a bad thing. Without judgment or emotion, watch how the mind continuously returns to buying into the illusions it created yesterday. The dreaming machine is much stronger than any one of us would think it is, yet not as powerful as our awareness is. Our awareness can burn right through the dream, yet we'll want to get a firm grip on the mind, and this is done best through practicing meditation. Sitting silent and still, as if you were a solid statue, this will bring the mind to a place of deep inner calm. It can take up to 48 minutes of sitting absolutely still, being deeply silent before the mind becomes completely empty. This inner quietness is the necessary work needed to create the spiritual foundation for a real awakening experience. The practice is simple. Watch the thoughts pass through the mind. Observe them like clouds flying through the vast blue infinite sky above. In the beginning, you may realize all those super important thoughts aren't so important after all. The thoughts seem very real, and you've believed them to be real your entire life, yet are they real? Really? Perhaps they're just electrons flying through your brain, synapses, firing electrical impulses in the massive space in between your ears. Once you are aware that this is what's happening, you start to pay more attention. You begin to direct your attention away from the mind.
and back to what is real. Once you're able to be still long enough at the source of pure creativity from where all thoughts are rising, you'll experience a divine basking in the glorious love and light of your own being. As you explore yourself deeper on this inner awakening journey, you may begin to wonder, what is real? Are the actual sensations of your taste buds firing good flavors more real than if your imagination was creating them? Is your body's sense of touch, sight, and smell, and hearing more real because they allow you to interface with the physical world? We could invent all sorts of brilliant definitions of what is real and what is imagined, and make a varied list of degrees between these two worlds. Yet, for practical reasons, in this spiritual awakening experiment, let us stick to the understanding that what is real is that which does not change. What is real is that does not change. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Course in Miracles. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. It is only when we devote our entire heart and being 100% to the grounded experience of what does not change that a full spiritual awakening will occur. It is only when we devote our entire heart and being 100% to the grounded experience of what does not change that a full spiritual awakening will occur. When we stop to ponder this thought and dive into this understanding with deep inquiry and investigation all day long, something profound occurs. We are bound to wake up from lifetimes of dreaming when our mind becomes obsessed and addicted to diving into the mystery of knowing that which does not change 24 hours a day. The veil begins to lift on its own accord. That which does not change or move is the very center of this outrageous cyclone. This universe is a vast ordered chaos of quarks, atoms, molecules, flying in every which direction, yet look at that which is at the center of it all. Perhaps you're like most people who think they don't have time for this inner exploration. They feel it's not practical or possible given their busy lives of children, work, bills, mortgages, and traffic jams. The truth is, we can continue doing the same actions we are doing, yet from a more enlightened perspective. You may show up late or early to work, yet you'll arrive with more lightness, smiling, and a genuine peaceful interest in what their experience of life is. When you wake up from the dream, life is completely enjoyable. No matter if you're jobless, homeless, broke, and alone, or trading millions of dollars on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, you will find pleasure in being alive. You realize a deeper enlightened truth inside and do not allow anything to compromise the peace it brings. For anyone to have a full spiritual awakening experience, they must choose to be 100% devoted to it. For total inner freedom to show, we must choose to be willing to experience a deep level of commitment. When we devote our life to something 50%, we can best expect 50% success. A true spiritual awakening is no small matter, for nothing in our lives will be the same after it has occurred. Of course, we can continue to hold on the same job, family, lifestyle as before. Yet the quality of each of these experiences will be like the difference between driving a 1969 VW Bug and a 2087 Ferrari. Our life will be completely transformed when we're fully surrendered to living as the awareness of what is real and does not change. And what is it that is real and does not change? What is the only thing that is real and does not change? Our souls, our spirits, God that we are. It is the only thing that is real. This is a profound walk through the forest of desire and temptation. Okay? And probably the best advice that I can give you is to be gentle with yourself. Don't expect too much from yourself. Try not to change too much in too little time. Often, when progress is steady and slow, the final change is more permanent. Slow and steady, as we know, wins the race. As each subtle shift creates a deeper embedded pattern, making it harder for the mind to slip back into its old unconscious habit. If you start to hit a wall, relax, rest, and be ordinary. If you start to hit a wall, relax, rest, and be ordinary. A simple walk through the forest can be a pathway, can become a pathway to a profound realization. The ordinary things in this life become absolutely extraordinary when there is nowhere to go and nothing to attain. We must have compassion on this lifelong journey to awakening. The sheeple consciousness is a necessary part of waking up, because without first living in darkness, we cannot truly know how bright the light really is. Life with no darkness is a false state. If we live only in the light, we cannot know what spiritual growth truly feels like. If waking up is going to occur, then we first have to be deeply asleep. We would need to be unaware that we are sleepwalking through our lives, unconscious of how we are deeply programmed and locked into certain habits of feeling and thinking. As we let the dreamer walk out of the theater for a breath of fresh air, we receive a new shift in perspective. And it becomes so much easier for the higher vibrational realities to become embodied and feel more real. Adventure is not outside man. It is within. George Eliot. One last note on your journey. Be aware that anything you are forcing yourself to do is not coming from love. Be aware that anything you are forcing yourself to do is not coming from love. It is never healthy to try and push yourself to be dedicated to something you feel you should be devoted to. The utmost curiosity and wonder comes naturally from within. It is quite ironic how it works. Yet continuously point your mind back to your highest self, and you will integrate your lower self naturally. If and when you want a powerful spiritual awakening experience, there needs to be full acceptance of all yourselves, great and small. Now is the time to take a step forward. We have nothing to fear. There are only good things coming our way. Life is already rigged in our favor. Enlighten your consciousness by choosing to explore. Be an explorer of life, just because you'll have a lot more fun along the way. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out.
Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out of the mouth. Remain still. When you're ready to take on a new challenge, you are ready for self-inquiry. Start by meditating on the question, who am I? Conscious introspection can lead to enlightenment. So dive into yourself. Ask yourself questions all day long. Who is watching now? Who is hearing this? Who is experiencing this body? Notice what thoughts your mind creates as an answer to this question. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, the following morning. We will return here tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, to continue our reverse aging health call. And Saturday, September 17th, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation